Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to today's video. I am still sick while filming this, so please excuse my sick voice and tired appearance. I may be tired, but I am also fired up, in the words of Janae Aiko. So I'm really excited to be talking about some books that I didn't get to in 2022, but I am super excited to read in 2023. So the first book that I am super excited to read in 2023 that I didn't get to last year is Nightcrawling by Leila Motley. I'm not sure if that's pronounced Leila or Layla. I'm so sorry. But this book is super interesting because it was actually nominated or longlisted, I believe, for the Booker Prize. And Layla Motley is 19. So I think she's the youngest person to have ever been nominated for the Booker Prize, which is very, very cool and such an incredible accomplishment. The book follows these two characters, Kiara and I think Max, and both of them are high school dropouts. Their family has been torn apart by death and also the carceral state. Kiara is looking for work to keep her family afloat and take care of, her and her brother, and also pay rent, which has doubled recently, and also take care of the little boy that lives next door. And so she turns to night crawling. And then suddenly her world kind of cracks even further apart when she is named a key witness in a massive scandal within the Oakland Police Department. The next book that I'm really excited to read is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I am like one of the few people that didn't read this book this year, and I feel so bad because I have heard so many good things. I think it was nominated at one point, or not nominated, it was like a book of the month pick last year at some point. And it was also nominated in the Goodreads Choice Awards for Best Fiction, and it actually won. So a lot of people have read it and a lot of people have loved it. It follows these two people, Sam and Sadie, and they kind of meet when they're in middle school, have a huge falling out, or yeah, they meet during middle school during like a key kind of chaotic moment in their personal lives, and they connect deeply and then have a terrible falling out. And they see each other kind of in high school, and then they encounter one another again in their junior year of university. Sam is a junior at Harvard and Sadie is a junior at MIT. And they're both so smart, and they design this new video game together that becomes a bestseller. And the book kind of follows the way that the different ways their lives like intersect and come together, then fall apart. And so, yeah, it's really interesting. The synopsis describes it as like a love story, like you've never seen it told before, which I think is super interesting because a lot of people in the reviews actually said that they didn't think it was necessarily a love story and found it more of kind of like a story of human relationships and the way that they're fleeting and come together and fall apart and all of that. And so it sounds like a beautiful story. And to add the icing on the cake, I've heard that some aspects of it are kind of like a retelling too of Shakespeare's Macbeth and any sort of Shakespearean allusions in books. Like I typically love that stuff. And so I'm sure that, I don't know, this one sounds incredible, and I'm really excited to finish it because I read 60 pages of it one day at Indigo, and then I never finished the rest of it. So I'm gonna pick this book up somewhere and finish it fully. So the next book that I want to talk about is The Marriage Portrait, and this is by Maggie O'Farrell. She is also the author of Hamnet and Judith, and sadly both of these books I bought, totally started reading, something happened, put them down, and now they're both just sitting in my room. The Marriage Portrait is specifically about this girl named Lucrezia, and it takes place in the 1550s in Florence. And so Lucrezia is 15 years old when she is married off to a man that is twice her age. He's very powerful, I think like the ruler of the place that they live in. And so the story goes, and historically Lucrezia was murdered, I think like 1 year after their wedding. And so it's going to kind of follow that story, and Maggie O'Farrell is just like a masterful storyteller as well. So I have no doubt that it is super interesting. The other book is one that I'm so disappointed in myself for not getting to, because the year before the same author came out with a different book and I pre-ordered that book. I read it in one day. I was so on top of things. And then last year I just completely didn't read Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This cover is just stunning and chef's kiss, and I've heard a lot of people say that they liked Carrie Soto is Back even more than Malibu Rising. So of course I need to check it out. It's all about Carrie Soto, who is, you know, the tennis player who was, you know, she was a character in Malibu Rising. And this book specifically focuses on her. She is kind of like the Serena Williams of tennis in this fictional world. She's incredible and has broken many records and set new world records. Oh, I don't have the language, the sports diction for the the sports vocabulary. But anyways, she's really, really good. And then she retires, and 6 years later in her retirement, a new young player pops up and is breaking all of her records. And Carrie Soto decides, you know what, like I need to get back out there and I need to reclaim my titles and records. And so she comes out of retirement. She's a lot older. A lot of people don't think she can do it, and she doesn't even think that she can do it. But you know, she trains with her dad, and who knows where it goes, but I'm super excited to read that one as well. I'm gonna kind of get into like the YA thrillers in this like video. I swear I only read YA thrillers from like the same two authors, and that is Holly Jackson and Karen McManus. And for the past like 5 or so years that I've been doing this, it's worked out. I've literally liked every single book that they've put out. So the first one I'm going to mention is 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I think this is her first YA thriller outside of the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. And I'm super excited about this one because it's all about this group of friends that go out on this road trip together, I think, and then at some point their car breaks down, their tires are slashed, and they're realizing that there's foul play at hand and their lives are in danger, and they kind of need to survive. So, you know, sounds super interesting, and I'm not even gonna lie, it's the author that I'm reading this for primarily. I love everything that Holly Jackson writes, and so can't wait. So in that same vein, another Holly Jackson book that I want to get to is As Good as Dead. I think it's kind of cheating to put this one on the list because As Good as Dead did actually initially come out in 2021, but the paperback came out last year, and I was fully intending to read the paperback last year and I didn't. So I'm going to read it this year. But As Good as Dead is the 3rd book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I loved the first one, which was all about this girl named Pip kind of taking on a local unsolved murder for her senior project. And, you know, she successfully solves it all on her own. And in the second book, she kind of has her own podcast and is taking on another local case. And that one I didn't love as much, but then the ending really shocked me, and I think it set things up in a way that was super thrilling for book 3. And I hear that book 3 is Pip going dark. So far Pip's been like this sweet good girl, but we're gonna see her kind of like reeling from like the trauma of working with the things that she's worked with and solving these 2 murders. And I think that's something that a lot of thriller books don't really explore that much. And so it's going to be interesting to see that play out. And I've been wanting to read this for a while. So I am really looking forward to reading As Good as Dead. So the next book that I want to talk about is Nothing More to Tell by Karen McManus. It follows this girl named Bryn who basically 4 years ago at her academy that she was at, St. Ambrose School, her favorite teacher, Mr. Larkin, was murdered. And there are a group of students that sort of know something about what happened but aren't talking. And one of those people is her best friend, Trip. And then Bryn gets this internship in the present at this true crime show, and she feels like she has the resources to finally investigate for herself what exactly happened that night. So it sounds super interesting. I like the private school element, the fact that a teacher is the one that's murdered here. It's different, and so I'm really excited to read this one. Okay, the last one that I'm going to talk about, this is so sad because I think I actually talked about this book on my channel at the start of the year last year, where I was just talking about how much I really wanted to read it and then I didn't get to it, and now here we are again. I'm talking about it again this year. And that book is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. Stacey Willingham actually has another book as well coming out this year, I think, which I'm probably going to end up reading before I read Flicker in the Dark. But Flicker in the Dark is all about this girl named Chloe Davis. When she was younger, 6 girls were, I think they went missing in her small Louisiana town, and then at the end of the summer, her dad was arrested for, you know, murdering them, I think. And then now, as a grown woman, she's like a clinical psychologist. She is getting married, but she returns to her small town, and another teenage girl goes missing, and she feels like there's more to what happened in the past and that these things are connected. So, you know, she follows that path of like investigating that mystery and everything like that. So I've heard mixed things about A Flicker in the Dark in terms of just from the people that I know and typically trust when it comes to book reviews. So my friends, some of my friends really like it. Other people, oh my gosh, Siri, stop. That scared me. Oh, yeah. So some of my friends that have read this book really liked it. And then other people I know that also read it didn't necessarily like it. And so I'm not sure. A lot of people on Goodreads like it. A lot of people on Book Talk like it. But will I like it? I guess we'll find out when I read it. So yeah, that's the end of my video. Thanks so much for sticking around. Those are some backlist books I'm excited to get to in 2023. And I hope you guys stick around for the journey when I finish these books and talk to you about them. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.